Thank you for joining us on today's episode of Salt and Pepper Unleashed. This ain't your grandma's nursing home. In fact, the name for the show, Salt and Pepper, came about as we thought of the population we've been serving at Greenwood Village South for 62 years. These are older adults who have recently retired or are thoughtfully planning for retirement, possibly with salt and pepper hair themselves, and they are ready for resort living. They're unleashing themselves from the burden of home maintenance and repairs, homeowners insurance, property taxes, utility bills, cooking, cleaning, and so much more. They're ready to embrace a carefree lifestyle in a luxury residence with state-of-the-art amenities. They're picking local and they're staying local. But salt and pepper has another meaning as well. In an article entitled Finding Flavor in Differences, Embracing Salt and Pepper Relationships from Medium.com, a salt and pepper relationship can manifest in a variety of ways. It can refer to differences in age, race, culture, or personality. The key characteristic of a salt and pepper relationship is that the partners are vastly different from each other. They may have different perspectives, experiences, or even values. Despite these differences, they're able to connect and complement each other in a way that feels natural and effortless. The salt and pepper community members at Greenwood Village South combine to create the perfect seasoning. Today, I'm pleased to be joined by two distinguished leaders of LCS. LCS, Life Care Services, is a management company for LCS, been partnered with Greenwood Village South for over 43 years, since 1981. This innovative alliance brings passion and performance through strong financial stewardship, lifestyle-centered services, as well as high-quality health services. I'm joined to my left by GeLynna Shaw, Executive Vice President of Operations for Senior Living Management, and to my right, Jim Pusateri, Senior Vice President and Chief Sales Officer. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Good to be here.
All right, very good. Glad to have you. And I know that we're on a little bit of a tight schedule, but so with that being said, we're just going to jump right into it and give you some heaters right off the bat.
Okay.
Let's go.
All right. So we've talked on the show before about this upcoming silver tsunami, and we've kind of shifted away from tsunami with the negative connotation to the silver wave. And I believe GeLynna with LCS Market Research has been presenting here recently on some of the data. We talk about baby boomers, 65. How many people 65 and older each day? Well, that's not really our initial demographic. When you look at 75, 80, 85, and a number that she presented a few weeks ago was the number of 85 plus population in the United States tripling over the next generation, which is phenomenal, exciting, scary. All of those things. So with that coming, knowing that that's coming, what does this look like for seniors across the country in general? And then how has LCS been positioning and continue to position for those opportunities? And G, I'll let you take the first stab at it.
Sure. And I'm glad to hear that GeLynna has already spoken to a lot of her research. I think first and foremost, that shows how we are trying to prepare for the new consumer that we have. And but secondly, the fear factor is what affects me the most, I think, which is how are we going to have enough people to take care of the seniors that we are going to be serving? And we're going to talk about several things today, but first, how about the expansion that you guys are looking at? So we've been doing, LCS actually started as a development company. I don't know if many people knew that, but the company was actually founded by developing senior living companies and then decided to enter into the management much later. So we have a rich history in that, and we help all types of folks, even those that we don't manage, but how are we planning for the most efficient use of green space that is available? How do we get amenities in places where you're more landlocked? We have some communities who put a pickleball court on a roof.
Yeah.
We have different opportunities like that. So taking the resources and the plethora of our history to think, how do we navigate through that, is one way that we're doing it. Doing the workforce, the effort around the workforce is a huge initiative for us. And we want to make sure that we work smarter, not harder, so that we can have fewer folks doing things that don't need human interaction, so that our most cherished resource, which is people, are serving people. So Jim had a few things he's been fascinated with since he's joined LCS, and then also in his career that he is trying to get my attention to share.
I am trying to get your attention. So some of the things that would be an example of what we're talking about are like the robot vacuum whiz. There are also things that some communities have been using for a long time, point of sale systems. That makes the process move faster and it helps our employees be more service oriented. So when you think about the things that are going to be important for this wave of individuals that are coming to us, we have to think about how we meet them at their point of need. And technology is a part of that because they are much more tech savvy than we have been. So what other things can we look at? And earlier today, we were talking about how we can help our sales team be more efficient in getting information where voice recording can do things. So we're investigating many things that will help us have the ability to let our team members spend more time face-to-face with prospects and residents. There's things that we don't even know we're going to do yet out there and that haven't even been created.
Yeah, I think the focus on AI and technology is really interesting, and a lot of people generally in most industries, they're concerned that AI is going to take our jobs, and I don't see that as the issue. It's AI has the ability to make us better at our jobs and remove some of these time-consuming efforts and create some efficiencies that generate more of those personalized, rich interactions. I mean, at the end of the day, we are people serving people. We're not going to get away from that.
That's right.
And with as many new folks becoming the age of the demographic we serve, all the more reason to lean into that technology. And G, I do want to just clarify the community with the pickleball court. I think they have 3 pickleball courts on their roof.
They have a lot of pickleball courts.
They do.
Yes, they do. I wanted to add another thing that is big focus for LCS as we think about the silver wave coming. And the data not only shows that we have so many more seniors coming in, but they're going to live longer. And what we are seeing is people, not only are they going to live longer, but they want to live well longer. And I loved seeing the exercise class as we were walking down through here, the workout rooms, talking to Miss Judy, who does 11,000 steps a day.
Oh, yes.
And we're going to have more and more folks like that. So the investment in a wellness score is a big focus for us. And we want to make sure that we can have tools, assessments, and systems that start at independent living, our health and wellness navigation that continues to grow and serve. But how can we give an overall well-being score? And you're doing proactive health and wellness versus reactive. And so that's going to be great. And technology is going to be at the forefront of that as well through motion sensors and wearables. People wear their iWatches, they wear their Fitbits. This has already started, and it's going to be able to provide data that can be summarized through AI uses that will just help doing that. So really investing a lot in that future.
And so Miss Judy will tell anyone about her 10, 11,000 step goal, and she achieves it almost every single day. So it's phenomenal that she does that. You know, what's interesting about the proactivity towards those efforts versus the reactivity is the fact that we're one of the reasons that they're living better, healthier, longer lives because you're putting that investment into the well-being on the front end. And I think something that the LCS does that's phenomenal that not a lot of other operators in senior living do is there's a common perception of wellness of physical. Well, we know LCS has known for a long time it's so much more than that. You don't have to work out every single day to have a focus on wellness. There's emotional, there's vocational, there's spiritual wellness. There's so many aspects. And obviously kind of the health services side being that clinical piece in which being able to aggregate that information to tell us more about our residents, but also being alerted when we need to step in to help them, I think brings a value that you can't simply put a price tag on as a resident moving into one of our communities. So I think that's absolutely phenomenal. Cheryl Strickland, I believe this was last week, shared a study. You mentioned about the aggregation of amenities and resources, and she shared that there's a very preliminary study out now in which, I think we're going to see more from that shows the cost of caring for seniors is actually less in congregate settings than it is in individual settings, which is, I think, one of the challenges that we've had in the past is getting, I think, maybe legislators on board with, allocating the resources to our types of communities. But at the end of the day, we're showing that we can do it better and for less money, which that's a unicorn in any industry.
It is. And I was actually privileged enough to go to Washington for Advocacy Days. And we met with several of the representatives to speak about just that, showing real data deliverables, how living in a senior living community improves the lifespan and reduces the cost for that. And it is, a lot of folks still just can think of a retirement community as just your skilled nursing. Mm-hmm. They're not thinking about it as independent living, assisted living, and memory care. But that is changing. And with value-based care, that is going to continue to happen. So we're already underway there where we partner with key folks that once we show that we have better health outcomes, less admissions to the hospital, less ER visits, then these insurance companies plus these other folks are going to help give that money back to the community so that they can reward the community for doing such a great job. So we're going to see a lot more of that, and I think it's just going to continue to prove itself out that it is a lower cost to the government and insurance companies, plus a better outcome for the resident is what we care about. But them seeing that and helping support it is going to be
key. And
key.
I think the importance of all of that is being able to communicate that to the public, right?
Yeah.
So we have to aggregate our data, we have to talk about it, and sales really gets the opportunity to push that in front of our prospects. Our nurse navigators have the opportunity to help families understand some of those metrics that you spoke of, GeLynna, and that's what makes LCS different. We have these great programs and this great data that we can push out and help everybody understand why we're the best choice in any market that we're in.
Absolutely. And Jim, I lean to you a little bit on this next question. You've been with LCS for just 4 months now. I love hearing your passion about what LCS is doing already, but you've got decades of experience in senior living. So what have you seen over the last several years, and what are you seeing with LCS in some other ways that we're preparing for these baby boomers or this silver wave in general?
I think globally, companies haven't done a great job. LCS has done a really nice job of creating departments within the organization, like our data scientists who can aggregate data from any of the different services that we provide in healthcare, sales and marketing, and provide us with more efficient ways to do our jobs. And that is unique and something that you don't see in other companies. Over the almost 34 years that I've been in the industry, I think there are some things that have not changed. I think we have not thought about our prospect other than the generation that they're in. And what I mean by that is if you remember, Tom Brokaw wrote a book called The Greatest Generation. Well, our generation of prospect or resident, their growth hasn't changed very much over the last 30 years. But today, with the tsunami, if you will, or the silver wave, that generation's changing every 5 years. So when you look at some of the things that are happening inside of LCS, you have our development group that's looking forward and trying to figure out what the next best product is out there. You're going to be a benefactor of a newer product for the company here in the coming months and years. And that is something that a lot of people don't do in the industry. So I think technology forward thinking, much stronger here at LCS than I've seen in any of the other companies that I've worked for.
That's awesome. It's reassuring as an executive director and knowing that LCS is poised and at the forefront of that. So, next question for both of you. Hopefully different perspectives. So you've been with the company for 6 years, 4 months. What do you want our listeners to know about LCS? And so knowing that you've got a little bit different experience, both in senior living industry, but then also just your tenure with LCS, what would you want our listeners to know about LCS that they wouldn't know otherwise?
Well, what I do hope that the listeners know with the long history that LCS has had with Greenwood Village is that our culture, our true North Star, and our principles have not changed and will never change. And everything else is up for grabs. So I love that we have a rich history that is pointed the true north and is never going to change from that. And that is to, create meaningful experiences for residents. And that's what we're going to do. What people may not realize is that we continue to expand and invest in other departments to support the community. And we continue to better those. We look at recruiting in a different way than we used to. We offer talent acquisition business partners to help communities that struggle with recruiting or to how to manage the spend efficiently for that. We've invested more in the compliance teams to help with regulatory issues and compliance issues. I think everyone knew about the development department. The data scientists are new, but we just continue to bring the best in each department and ask, how can we, if we're not serving a resident, how can we serve someone who is and helping them the most? And I don't think a lot of people realize the breadth of resources it takes to do that or how much we've invested in that and will continue to invest in that. And so that's what I want to take away is if there is ever a question. And then a big one, we just recently had a board summit where we had all of our not-for-profit boards invited to a summit. And it had been 6 years since this had happened. And we're going to do that every 2 years now based on overwhelming response from it. But a board has such a heavy responsibility and burden, and they take it very seriously to sustain the mission of their community and campus. And the benefit of being with LCS is you have access to other board members that are dealing with the same issues that you're dealing with and have overcome them or maybe brainstorming opportunities. So that networking was just invaluable to each board member up in Minneapolis last month. And it doesn't go away. It doesn't have to be every 2 years. It doesn't have to be that. And we just want everyone to know that we're here, we're across the country in different ways to help.
Yeah. So as you know, I was there at the board summit with two of my board members. All of us, loved the time that we had together, gleaned so much more information than, I was hoping that my board members would take a lot away. I didn't anticipate that I would learn as much new information as I did. So I think that's phenomenal. And you even mentioned this earlier about one of your priorities coming in is identifying silos and connecting people. And I promise you're probably not the first one that's gone through that problem. So instead of figuring that on your own, ask somebody. And then I love that you said that about if I'm not serving a senior, how can I help someone that is? I have heard that numerous times on calls of home office support team members. That I think that's a testament that when I'm hearing that consistently from those people who are seeking to help myself and my team, I think that's kind of talks to the culture that we're creating from within. So Jim, what about you with your 4 months of in-depth knowledge of LCS?
I would say everything that GeLynna said is spot on. And the other thing that I would add to that is, as residents of Greenwood Village South or any community that LCS operates, manages, or owns, be proud of where you are and talk about it with your friends and with your family. Because what we do is truly special when you think about what other companies offer. And when you made your choice to move to the community that you're at, what were the reasons you did that? And many times it's the people. And everything GeLynna said was about the investment that LCS makes and the people that makes life better at a community and helps everybody extend their lifespan and their age happily with exercise and all of the different dimensions that you were speaking of, Jordan. But if we don't talk about that, we don't get the opportunity to serve more seniors. So the more we talk about how great the place is that we live and the more we make opportunities for those referrals to happen, the better we are as an organization and the better the community is for having known the information that we're able to put in front of them.
Absolutely. And I think there's so much benefit in that is just the benefit that people get from the proximity of the awareness of that information, even if those folks don't move into Greenwood Village South or an LCS owned or managed community, they benefit from being educated on and aware of this, important and just high gravity information. All right, so we're getting ready to wrap up, but I've got one more question for each of you, a little more personal. If you could be known for one lasting impact on the industry of senior living, just one, what would it be?
Wow.
I can take the first
All
stab
right.
at that. I've thought about this a lot over my career, and if I could leave one thing, I would like to leave that I was instrumental in helping people grow in the industry and building a bench strength for people to fan out into the rest of the industry, to grow beyond just LCS, but in any company that somebody has an opportunity to move to from the company that we're currently with, that they help populate the success and the ideas that we've come up with and make the industry better, not just for LCS, but for the industry and the residents that we serve across the nation.
Yeah, I love that. It's every time you step back from that direct care, you lose control, but you gain influence. And influence is harder than control. It's like eating with chopsticks. It takes some dexterity and some experience, and every step you move away, but you have that ripple effect in which you can end up impacting hundreds, thousands, millions of seniors when you take that approach. So I love that.
I think mine would be what hooked me in senior living. So there are a great number of people who fall into senior living. They don't grow up and say, I want to work in a senior living company. And I fell into senior living. I'm an accountant by background. And my mother owned her own beauty salon. And her longtime friends and clients, when it was time, would go to the one nursing home that we had in a smaller town in Tennessee. And it was unfortunately a very old and sad place to go. And that was the only thing about senior living that my mom knew or I knew. And it was like the worst place ever. And nobody ever wanted to go. And when I told her that I was starting a job at a senior living startup company that was building this new thing called assisted living, dating myself here, she was like, I don't know why you would want to be any part of that. And when we opened the first assisted living community in Tullahoma, Tennessee, that I was a part of, I was like, wow, this place is beautiful. The people here are so nice. Everyone is so happy. And, fast forward almost 30 years, and I just still dedicate anything I can to changing that perception of senior living for everyone and making it a place that my mom and her friends want to go to instead of feeling like they're being put there.
Yeah.
And it's been a small impact. At least I have my mom now telling everyone when it's that time to make your decision, just call my daughter. And it doesn't matter what state you live in. It doesn't matter if it's her company, but she knows somebody who works, at all these other places. And so that's just what I want to continue to do.
Yeah. And I think that's a challenge that we face consistently is just this, the negative connotation perception with, nursing home,
Right.
And that's why Salt and Pepper Unleashed, this ain't your grandma's nursing
That's
home.
right.
And so we're trying to get people
I
to
know.
see that and understand
One
it.
visit to Greenwood Village South, and they
That's all
wouldn't
it
be saying
takes.
that.
Change
That's right.
their mind.
That's
That's
right.
right.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Yeah. So again, thank you both so much for coming and sharing these rich insights. And I have a feeling that you have an open invite on this. Next time you're in Indiana in the future, we'll get the team together and get another episode going. So you just
Well,
let
I have
us
a
know.
question for you.
I didn't know this was coming.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. This is my show.
I have a question
go
for
ahead.
you. So we had the privilege to visit 2 other Indiana communities this week, and we heard about this very competitive cornhole tournament between Marquette and West Lafayette.
Mm-hmm.
Is Greenwood Village South not in this tournament, or are they just always third?
They're not always third. I know that for certain.
Oh, okay.
And,
it was quite the talk.
I have some professional tenure at one of those other Indiana. And what's interesting is wasn't third when I was at that community and wasn't third when I was at this community. So we probably need to go back to the scoreboard on that one. But I hear you loud and clear. The gauntlet sounds like it's been thrown down.
I think it has been thrown down. So,
Yeah. So mark my word, if I have to recruit a resident and even discount their monthly fee for a short period of time to entice them enough to come here and be my ringer to take home gold, we're going to do it.
I
Judy
might
may
have
be
to
ready
come
with
back.
the 11,000 steps. She's in shape.
She
She's usually
is.
I may
one
have
you
to
just
come
get.
back for the tournament next year.
All right.
Oh, that would
So,
be
right. No
they
pressure.
were already practicing the day after the tournament. So,
No kidding.
yeah.
yesterday.
All right. Well, I guess when you get a ringer, you don't have to practice too much. So
Well, there you go. Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
thank you.